Alright, so today I found my 5th clutch of Ball Python eggs of the year, which is pretty awesome. And this one's actually an exact duplicate of another pair that I paired up this year, and I actually have eggs in the incubator. So essentially what this does, it actually expands the clutch from that smaller clutch to 2 clutches of the same exact thing. And this is kind of an interesting cross. I actually paired up my pastel pinstripe scaleless head female with my lesser scaleless head male. I actually have 2 lemon blast scaleless heads, which is, it's kind of interesting on those two. They actually came from the same clutch. They are litter mates, which is kind of interesting. And to watch them grow up side by side, I'd say they were almost exactly the same weight, and they got right up to about 1,000 grams, and they both fasted at almost exactly the same time. They went back on food at the same time, and they both laid eggs pretty much almost exactly at the same time, which is kind of weird. Now I'd say that even now they're almost the identical weight from one snake to the other, which is pretty interesting. And keep in mind, if you actually take 2 scaleless heads and breed them together, 25% of the time you'll end up with a completely scaleless ball python, a ball python with no scales. And I actually did a video on the completely scaleless ball python. It's kind of interesting looking through Morph Market at all the different genes mixed in, because if you actually look at just the simple genes, like say for example, if you look at the lesser versus the scaleless lesser, the lesser with no scales, it is completely different. It's like night and day. As a matter of fact, if you go over and look at just the simple genes with the completely scaleless snakes, it's almost like you have to completely relearn your ball python genes from scratch, mix it in with the completely scaleless, because it doesn't look anything like just the regular genes all by themselves. So let me tell you, identifying these offspring, you know, I can tell if they're scaleless, but I won't know if it's just a straight scaleless or if it has the pastel, the pinstripe, or the lesser, or the combination of one or more of those genes. So it'll be kind of an interesting project on that front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this female, pull her out of her tub, we'll take a look at how many eggs she laid, and put those eggs up in the incubator. Alright, so this girl's name is Pluto. She's my lemon blast scaleless head number 2. She lives over here in my ARS 5040 rack. She's still a pretty small snake. So, you know, once they get a little bit bigger, you have to move them up usually to like a ARS 7030. But she's got at least 2 good eggs that I can see. One kind of rolled out, it looks like, from the bunch. You know, first time layer, she's probably just laying all over. I've actually seen sometimes the ball python will just kind of scatter eggs all over the tub and then just kind of be lost as far as what to hang on to. And that's almost looks like what she did, and then tried to gather them up. But she's a really good looking snake. She's a really high expression scaleless head. If you actually look at the scales missing on top of her head, you can see there's quite a few scales missing. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull her out, take the eggs out, we'll see how many she has, then we'll put them up in the incubator. Alright, so let's take a look at this girl here. See how many eggs she has. Hopefully she won't bite me. Yeah, she's doing pretty good. Not hissing. Wow. She's got a bunch of eggs. Whoa. Take a look at that. I didn't expect that many eggs. Small eggs, but I'd rather have more small eggs, I think, than a few big eggs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eggs from this girl. Wow. And then we got one little slug right here. Just one tiny little slug. Alright, that is awesome. And kind of the interesting thing too with just the scaleless head, take a look at this. What it does to the lemon blast. It completely changes the lemon blast to where it almost looks like it has enchi in it, but there's no enchi in the pairing as far as producing these lemon blasts. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Even with just one copy of the gene, it can significantly change the look of your combinations. Alright, so I put that girl up in my boa tub just temporarily, and we're going to take a look at these. I'm going to candle them. I want to definitely make sure these are viable eggs, and I've been tricked a lot lately with eggs that look good, and then you candle them and they are duds. That one looks good with a little embryo right there. And normally what I'll do is I'll mark it with my marker here. And I'll put a mark on the embryo. They say you have better luck with the embryo facing up when you incubate them. So that is the embryo right there, kind of that jiggly thing right there. And these, I might take this one off because it's already off. This one looks good. What you're looking for is veins. If you have an infertile egg that looks good, usually it's completely clear and it doesn't have any veins. And whatever you do, don't drop your egg. I dropped one egg once. I will never drop an egg. I'll try to never drop an egg again. These are all stuck together pretty good. So that one has veins. Yeah, the kind of the tricky part is, oh look, there's one right there. That's a bad one. Tricked again. So this one right here, completely clear. How crazy is that? So I think I'm gonna, which one is that? That's this one right here. Yeah, I'm gonna mark this one. This is bad egg. All right. Bummer. Wow. So I actually had my reticulated python. She laid like 54 eggs, and out of all those eggs, we only ended up with 37. There's a whole bunch of them that were completely clear like that. So I'm gonna dig this one. I'm just gonna separate all these. It's pretty unfortunate. I can't believe I've been having that more and more lately. And I've seen people just kind of taking the whole clump of eggs, putting them in the incubator without even candling them. And I'm learning that you can have good looking eggs that are bad, completely clear, which is crazy. I've never really heard of anyone having that much of a problem with eggs that are looking good, but they're just not fertile like that. Which is kind of interesting. One clutch I actually had, the first clutch my pied female laid, oh, I was so devastated. Every single egg in the whole clutch looked like a good egg, and they were all clear with no veins. And I incubated them for a month, and after a month they all just got moldy. They did not develop at all, and they were still clear after a month, so it's, yeah, pretty much just duds. Alright, so I guess I'm going to go back in and candle them, because they say if you have the embryos facing up, you have better luck. Although I'm not completely convinced. I've never really had, well, I've never actually tried putting all the embryos down. I don't know if I'd want to risk a clutch actually putting them all down to see what the difference is. I actually saw a scientific journal. They actually did up versus down. There wasn't that much of a difference. It seemed like there was just a little difference where they had a better hatch rate with the embryos facing up. And the other thing that was interesting, they said that with the embryos facing down, they had slightly larger hatchlings. But I don't know how accurate that would be. I don't know how accurate some of those scientific snake egg articles are actually. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna prep an egg box for these guys. All right, so today I'm gonna share my secret egg box formula. I use perlite. I'm starting to like it better than the vermiculite, actually. I might just stick with perlite. So I actually add 2 16-ounce cups of perlite. This is actually a snake cup that goes in my ARS 7030. You can actually buy these over at ARS Caging. I use 2 cups of those, and then I use half a quart of water that I got from like the Vitamin Cottage, one of those health food stores that actually have the reverse osmosis drinking water. You know, the funny thing is I always thought the reverse osmosis water was completely pure with no other contaminants or anything. And I've actually seen people that actually add minerals to the reverse osmosis in order to kind of give it some more minerals so you're not drinking just the pure water. What I actually did is I bought a one of those, what is it, the Total Dissolved Solids, it's like a TDS meter where you can actually see how hard your water is. And I used it on the reverse osmosis water, and come to find out, it's not that it's not that pure. It actually comes out almost hard, like hard water, which is kind of surprising. Even after they changed the filter, it comes out pretty high, which is pretty shocking that they're actually, you definitely want to test your water if you're getting that water and you think you're getting, you know, really pure water and you're adding minerals or something, which is kind of crazy. All right, so from there, I'm going to add the eggs to this egg box. So I actually added this crate. This crate is, actually just used one in my last video, and they're getting warped a little bit. Take a look at that. It's kind of interesting. I got these, I think, over on Amazon or on eBay. These are actually designed to snap together. I think these were actually like aquarium dividers where you can actually snap them together and then cut them for different aquariums, which is kind of interesting. Alright, so when I put these eggs in the egg box, I kind of angle them, so I kind of wedge them in like this. That's kind of how I wedge them, so if they kind of move around in the incubator, the eggs don't roll around. Some people use popsicle sticks. I actually had one clutch this year with just one good egg. And I was like, how in the world am I actually going to put that egg in there without it rolling around? I actually used 2 slugs on either side of the egg to keep it from rolling. I suppose I could buy some popsicle sticks just for that kind of the one-off clutch where I get just one egg. So from here, pretty much what I do is I use press and seal over the top. This stuff is fantastic. I've been using this for years. It's been working really good. It just kind of sticks right on there. It kind of sticks to itself too a little bit. You have to kind of be careful of that. But normally what I do is I seal it completely for the first 6 weeks. You actually incubate these for about 2 months. So after about 6.5 weeks, I'll come back and I'll just kind of pop a little hole just for a little extra air when the snakes actually emerge, so you don't have any DOAs. Make sure there's enough oxygen. But you don't want to lose any humidity in here, so it's completely sealed with no holes or anything. I think a little bit of air actually transfers in and out through the press and seal, and I've never really had a problem with losing snakes with any DOAs doing it that way. So, and then from here, I actually will make some labels with my label maker. Alright, so I wanted to show you the male. This is my lesser scaleless head male, and this one's kind of a low expression, just has a little tiny bit of scales missing from the top of the head. Then this one has a little, it looks a little bit different than a lesser, not a whole lot different on this one. Maybe a slightly reduced pattern. I know sometimes the lessers can have a little bit of a kind of a line on the top, maybe. It almost looks like, with the scales head, almost looks like, you know, a slightly reduced pattern, almost like it has a little bit of inchy, kind of an inchy effect with the scaleless head, which is pretty interesting. Another thing I actually noticed with your, as a matter of fact, I was wondering if this guy, I'll have to look back to see if this guy, maybe this one was one of my possible het ghosts, which would be interesting. Getting a ghost. I have one of my lessers as possible het ghost. I think it is, and that one is brighter than my other one. I was thinking maybe it was the scaleless head influence that brightened this one, but maybe it's that het ghost that's coming. I'll have to look back at my records and look at the breeding, how I produced that one. Alright, so I made 2 labels for these guys. This is Lemon Blast Scaleless Head number 2. Make sure if you have 2 snakes that are exactly the same, you know which one is which. So if you have anything weird popping up, you actually can go back to the right female. You know, you never know. If you find something kind of popping up, you definitely want to keep track of every single snake. And then I'm crossing it with a lesser Scaleless Head male. And then it was laid today. Today is the 10th of May, 2022. Hatches on the 9th of July. That is pretty exciting. All right, so I put the eggs in my 6-foot tall snake egg incubator that I built out of a beverage cooler. I put them up on the top. And then these on the bottom, these are all Ball Python egg boxes from my previous clutches. Usually I put the oldest ones on the bottom so I can kind of look at the bottom to see when the soonest one's gonna hatch, so I don't have to keep, you know, scanning through every egg box in the incubator. And I just got really lucky this year because this thing, just a couple weeks ago, it was completely full of reticulated python eggs. And I only had like a few slots left. I was getting Ball Python eggs. Luckily, those retics hatched before I started getting a lot of Ball Python eggs. And usually with my Ball Pythons, I'll start, you know, filling this up, and then I'll have them hatch almost at the same time that I'm putting some in. So I'm like cycling through, which is pretty interesting because if everyone laid eggs all at the same time, I wouldn't have room here, and I wouldn't have room in my hatchling rack either because I think I only have like 104 hatchling tubs. And one year, my best year, I think I hatched out like 135 snakes. So it's like a juggling act, juggling it between the incubator and the hatchling rack. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.